The Costa Toscana might be stunning, but I discovered some things that shocked me, and not all in a good way. I'm about to take you on a full ship tour of one of the newest ships sailing in the Mediterranean. I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly so you can decide if it's worth it. I'm Gary with Optimal Cruising, bringing you fresh cruise advice, money-saving hacks, and secret strategies the cruise lines don't advertise. Here we go. There is definitely some good and definitely some bad about the food venues on board the Toscana. Let's start with the good. The quality of food and the variety of food offered on board this ship is incredible. I have not had better free meals on board another cruise line. The quality of meats provided, everything from seafood to beef to lamb to chicken, is the best I've had in the buffet and free main dining room restaurants. The food definitely caters to a more European palate, so keep that in mind because you're not going to find hot dogs and hamburgers unless you go to one of the paid venues serving American-style hot dogs. And they also have a paid venue serving pizza, which is something unusual about this cruise ship in that there is no free pizza included in the buffet or anywhere on the ship. Now let's talk about some of the bad. So on this ship, you are going to find that the buffet is poorly designed. The main buffet barely has enough room in the aisles to walk through when you're eating at prime meal times. Now, I have found that if you get there when they first open or in the last half hour of service where the food may not be as high of quality, then you can find a table and you can walk through fairly easily. However, during the busiest times, during the lunch and the dinner rush, it's virtually impossible to get through without bumping into somebody. They need triple the space in here and triple the seating. And a little pro tip is that if you go and check the schedule, you will find that several of the main dining rooms open up a buffet style breakfast and or lunch. It varies by day, so you have to check on this, but it's a way to avoid the crowds. It doesn't serve as much variety as the main buffet, and it is definitely not table service. It's buffet style service at main dining room restaurants, but they do this, I'm guessing, to alleviate the crowds from the main buffet during the breakfast and lunchtime. There are several main dining rooms throughout the ship. This is one long connection of 3 different main dining rooms. Dinner is regular service as you would expect, but you have to then go to your reserve table in your specific dining room. And the ugly is that water is hard to come by on this ship. There is 1 or 2 water stations total in the buffet that are only opened when the buffet is open. And if you go to the main dining room and ask for water, you have to pay for it. It's bottled water only. So your best bet is to bring a refillable bottle that you can fill at the buffet, or your only other option for free water is the tap in your stateroom's bathroom. Most other cruise lines do provide water stations throughout the ship all day and night, but for some reason it's not a priority on the Toscana. The staterooms on this ship are very well appointed and modern and new, clean. Nothing looks old, used, or rugged in there, but they are small and they're a bit smaller than most other cruise lines I have sailed on. With one exception, the shower is absolutely the biggest shower I've ever had on a standard cabin on a cruise ship. You can easily fit 2 people in these showers if you really wanted to. One unique thing about the Costa Toscana is their pools. They actually have 4 main pools on either side of the ship. There are 2 pools that are basically twins with a waterfall in the background. And these are both outdoors and family friendly. And then there is an adults only pool at the front of the ship. No kids allowed in this one. And even though this is a pretty large ship, it was never really that crowded. The solarium, which is indoors and family friendly. One bad thing we noticed about the solarium pool is that it tends to get pretty crowded and there are no lifeguards in there. So it gets crowded with a lot of babies that parents allow in the pool who probably shouldn't be in there, because we saw this pool during a 7-night cruise get shut down on at least 3 occasions for a greater part of the day, where they had to drain it and clean it because something happened in the pool that shouldn't have. While there are some drawbacks to the solarium pool in that it's not really monitored, there is a huge advantage that the Toscana has on the way the solarium is designed, because it's a double deck solarium with a top deck full of seating in a more quiet area where you can have views of the pool if your kids are playing in the pool, and also views of the ocean with full-size windows on both sides of the ship. In the solarium area, there are some private upsell restaurants like this gelato place, which is an extra charge. And then a crepe cafe they have here, which is also an extra charge. This is one of the outside pool bars on a deck that is unique on the Toscana because they allow teens and adults, but no children under 14. So it's meant to keep the little kids out of this area, and they have 2 nice infinity style hot tubs here, as well as a full bar and very nice seating. And there are several infinity hot tubs in the solarium with just one glass border so the water doesn't fall out over the edge. It's actually a kind of cool spot to sit in and enjoy the hot tub. And then there's a more traditional style hot tub located in the adults only pool deck. A really great feature of the Toscana is the design of their outdoor spaces. Here they have this beautiful skywalk that towers over the ship, and at all of the amazing ports of call, and even when you're on a sea day on this ship, just taking a stroll across this little bridge that expands more than half the ship and circles back around. It's a great place to get some amazing views. Also, from this skywalk, you can get a great view of the sports court where they'll do basketball, volleyball, soccer, among other things. And you can get a great view of the water slides. And they have a bowl type water slide there, and then several ordinary water slides. And if you've got kids or big kids that you want to get a picture of going down the slide, this is a great place to do it from. They have a unique bridge across the back of the deck with see-through glass tiles so you can see right down to the decks below and the ocean as the ship passes by. This walkway on the back of the ship, which is completely see-through, is not to be missed. And they have this amazing outdoor venue in the back of the ship where they hold some performances and a lot of parties and dancing. One big plus about the Costa Toscana is the ample deck space on this ship. There are actually 4 different levels of deck space if you count the lower deck near the aft, where they have deck chairs and ample seating, and a lot of it is shaded and a good part of it is full sun. So regardless of what you're looking for, you're likely to find it. And we never had a day on this cruise where we couldn't find a seat. They have so many seats that even with people saving seats, you could always find one somewhere that was comfortable for you. And the variety of seating on the Toscana is quite impressive. They have not only your typical deck chairs, sun chairs, or loungers, but they have a lot of comfortable couches with cushioned seating all throughout the deck areas and the solarium. And their solarium is designed in such a way that between the outside of the pool deck and where most of the tiered deck seating is, there is a hidden area with a lot of comfortable seating overlooking the ocean through huge floor-to-ceiling windows. And when you're finally relaxing on your vacation, you might get a little thirsty. We're going to go check out the bars next, but first I want to take a look at the seating on the inside, because if you're impressed with what the Toscana has on the outer decks, wait until you see what they do on the interior. So here we have one of the many lounges available on this ship. Very expansive and large with plenty of seating. No complaints about ever not being able to find a seat anywhere on this ship. Here we're looking at some seating around the atrium area of the Toscana, but they really don't have an atrium. They've replaced what a typical cruise ship would have with an arena where they do game shows and theater type events and big production shows here. In the general area where things are going on, which they call the Coliseum, and they normally have seating for anybody. You won't have difficult finding a spot to sit down. One of the bad, or some would even say ugly, about the Toscana is the quality of entertainment, because it's virtually 100% in-house entertainment. If you're used to bigger ships or newer ships like this bringing in a lot of acts, they don't have it. And they supplement the entertainment with game shows and other things that you see on other ships, but they don't even have outside singers, comedians, magicians, or anything of that sort. I will say on the upside that they do have a very nice band playing rock music from the back to the 60s up to the present, and they're actually really good. If you have any questions about the Toscana, make sure you put it in the comments below. We will respond. And now let's take a look at the bars and lounges on this ship. So one good thing about the Toscana is they have a large number of bars and venues where you can order everything from alcoholic drinks. They have a lot of good coffee spots, juice spots, and other things. They're all for an additional fee, and they have ample seating everywhere. At all of these places, you'll find a nice spot to sit down and enjoy whatever it is you purchase. Their drink and cocktail menus have things on there that you're not going to see in a lot of other cruise ships. It doesn't mean you couldn't get it somewhere else, but you're going to discover some new things to try out here, and they have all the classics as well. One of the bad things on this ship, however, is the lack of a real sports bar. They have kind of a bar that they're calling a sports bar, but it's rarely open. I'm not sure why it's even there. So if you're looking for a sports bar kind of atmosphere, this isn't really going to have that. And the bars do vary hours. So you will find that on a given evening, not everything is open. They change hours and days for certain bars. So keep that in mind. By checking the schedule, you can see exactly what's open and when it is. If you don't buy the drink package on the Toscana, you might just be okay because they do offer specials throughout the cruise. On at least 2 nights, there were 2-for-1 drink specials all day. There were happy hours on some days, and then they offered a daily drink package on certain days where you could buy the package for 1 day if you wanted it. And I think that was the sea day when they do that, so that's pretty standard. Keep that in mind because that might really be the only day you really would take advantage of it. One of the big pluses of the Toscana is the design of the rear of the ship. On the upper decks, there are walkways, and several of them overlooking the back of the ship, so you can get great views of the ocean passing by, as well as all the activity going down below. Even on a busy sea day, you'll see people on lots of chairs, but there's always some available. This is a nice little seating area perched well above the main decks with awesome views and great seats. And they even have some swinging chairs that you can relax on looking off the back of the ship. One of the things they try to sell you hard on in the Toscana is their photo package, and it does get pretty busy with a lot of people taking part in that. One kind of ugly feature of this ship is the service, and that the service is not up to par with what you're going to find on many other cruise lines, and that is because they don't really get gratuities. They charge you hotel service charges, but those really don't go to reward the staff, and you're going to find that unless you're going to give extra cash tips to people, the service is kind of slow and hit or miss depending on who you get, and that goes everywhere from your room attendant to your table staff. In this particular bar here, they don't let you order from the bar. They require you to sit down, but you could be waiting a long time to get your order in. The reception desk is out of the way and hard to find, but we never had a problem with long lines, and there were always many staff there to help. The variety of shops on the Toscana is good. They have a lot of different products and different style stores and outfits on the ship, but they are missing the typical duty-free shop. And so if you're looking for some deals on alcohol and things like that, they don't really have that on board, but they do have a lot of designer items and a lot of different things you might expect from upscale shopping. One bad thing though is they have a very poor selection of sundries, and anything that you might have forgotten to bring on board, like aspirin or things of that nature, are going to be hard to get on the ship. Next, we're going to look at the casino, but first, if you've gotten any helpful info so far, make sure you're subscribed to our channel and get all of our cruising updates. One negative about the Toscana is the size of the casino. If you're going to play in the casino, it's going to be crowded. It's not very big. In fact, they have an arcade on the other side of the casino, which is the same size as the casino. We just walked through the entire casino right there, which leads us to one of the beer-themed bars on board. They make all the cocktails here with beer of some sort. You can get off-brand drinks as well, but that's their specialty. And they have some of the best live rock music in this bar throughout the cruise. So the arcade's a big plus on this ship because it's rather large by arcade standards. It's about the same size as the casino, but it has a lot of modern, newer type games that kids of all ages can play. Now that you know all that the Costa Toscana has to offer, there are a few things you're going to want to make sure you do on embarkation day to have the best possible vacation. I'll tell you all about those right here.